Test 1, 2. Is this one on? No. Does this turn on? I just thought.
You want to use this one?
Hello, hello. Well, I thought if. Oh, there it is. Check, check, check,
I think they, let me check. I told them,
check, check.
I told them to get to it's about 10. I'm going to distract them. Have some.
Oh, no, that's fine.
Let me check in the back because I can get that one on too if we need it.
Check, check. No. Check, check. Bring it, brighten them. Check, check. Check, check. Check one, check two.
Is that one functional?
Is it possible to bring the lights up just a little bit?
Back here, 1 second. So we have audio override on, lights and shades all on.
Check one, check two, check one, check two. Check one, check two, check one, check two.
I'm gonna stick around and work on this for a second. This is weird. I apologize for that.
No, it's okay.
Leia, does this one work? Are we able to use that one?
Give me 1 second. Let me try with something and I'll be right back.
All right.
Awesome. Thank you. Hello, happy Wednesday. Thank you all for joining us again. I understand this was a
Check,
really
check, check, check.
engaged class last week, so I thought before we got started, maybe some of you might like to share some of the takeaways that you learned while we were talking about business plans. Come on in. Okay,
A business plan is our roadmap. It's like a GPS guide so that we should think through all of the details so we know the start, the middle, and the end.
Love it, love it, love it. Yes.
Business plan is constantly changing. It is ever evolving, just like us as entrepreneurs and businessmen.
Oh, that's awesome. This is great. Yeah, you wanted to share. You were going to share that as well. Has anybody started to put like a pen to paper and think about what they're on? So, talk to me a little bit about how you're feeling about that. How's that working for you? Is it making you think, or anybody want to share on that?
It does make you think. Makes you do more research on what you're in. Drives you crazy. Oh, yeah.
It is a lot because you really have to kind of dissect what it is you're doing and where you want to go and think about it in terms of small little steps.
Check, check one,
This
check two, check
awesome
one,
panel
check one, check two, check
that,
one, check two.
I mean, I feel like we have got the A team here. So I'm going to introduce our moderator, and then he is going to go ahead and introduce the remainder of the panel. We've given them some questions that we felt would have been places, so that you can talk to them a little bit about specifics that are more, not necessarily generic, but much more centered on your personal situation. Sound good? Okay, awesome. Okay. So, with us tonight, acting as our moderator, is Ade Bakari. Did I mess it up? Bakari. Ade Bakari. All right. I knew I
Check,
would
check,
mess
check.
it up.
Check,
Sorry.
1, 2.
Sorry.
Check.
I'm a mess with this name. I keep saying it wrong. Anyway, Ade is a member of McNeese, Wallace & Nurick, which is a local attorney's firm here in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. He practices law in kind of the energy field, and he counsels water, sewer, and stormwater clients on regulatory and transactional matters. He also represents consumers of electricity and natural gas services on a variety of regulatory and transactional matters. Prior to joining McNeese Wallace, Ade served as a prosecutor in the Pennsylvania Public Utilities
Testing, 1, 2, 3.
Bureau of Investigation and Enforcement, and he currently serves on the firm's hiring and diversity committees and is currently the chair of the Pro Bono Committee. In addition to his work at McNeese Wallace, he also serves as board secretary of the Vista Adult Services Organization, which is a nonprofit organization providing
Testing, 1, 2, 3.
services for
Check,
adults with
check.
autism.
Testing, 1, 2, 3.
Most recently, though, when
One.
we kind of got together and spoke
One.
with this group about joining us this evening, he shared that the McNeese Wallace Task Force for Legal Equity Advancement was also recognized by the Harrisburg Chamber in 2021, by the Harrisburg Chamber in Creedic, for their Diversity Influencer of the Year award. Not only that, so it just doesn't stop there. He was recently named, and I only know this because his sister posted it on LinkedIn. He's very, very shy. He was named as the Central Pennsylvania Business Journal's 2023 Power List for Law. So you already know that we have the greatest people up here, if that's the moderator, right? So I'm going to now turn this over. Do we have live mics, or are we going to have to scream? Are we still working on it? Hello. She's working on it.
The live stream is working,
Okay.
so if you want to still use the microphone, the group won't hear
Oh.
through the speakers.
Testing,
but the
testing,
audio
1, 2, 3.
Okay.
It'll be weird, but if you still use the microphone,
It's not working. Okay.
no,
Are you all good at speaking very loud?
Testing, 1, 2,
it's gonna
3.
work.
Oh.
You just can't hear it in here, but the live stream is picking it
Oh,
up.
the live stream is picking it up. Okay. So
Take my-
I don't know if we have anybody on live stream tonight, though. Just if there's anybody, it's just Natalie. So
Use it enough.
yeah, I would use it, and I'll divvy some of these up over here.
All right.
Okay. Just pass it along. It's not going to sound like.
How's everybody doing tonight? So I've got to correct Gail. I am definitely not shy. So I've never been called shy in my life. Maybe a little bit modest, definitely not shy. But thank you all for coming here tonight. I'm really glad to be here addressing this group. We do have an absolute rock star panel for you all here this evening. I can tell you right now, most people have to pay a lot of money to talk to these guys, but you guys get it tonight for free, so you should be grateful for that. And I think you're going to really enjoy hearing from this panel and their perspectives on a lot of issues relevant to business owners, particularly small business owners. So with that, let's get into our panel. I'm going to start with my colleague Ben Ward. And by the way, I'm going to introduce them all individually, and then I'll ask each panelist to, on your own, tell us a little bit about why you're here tonight and what made On, we have Anthony Cox. Anthony is another attorney. He's at Eckert Siemens, another excellent law firm based out of Pittsburgh, but with a significant office in Harrisburg. Anthony concentrates his practice on a wide variety of complex commercial and business litigation matters. He also counsels clients on professional liability and professional and occupational licensure defense, which I know is an area that may be relevant to a lot of you and your businesses. And also, on the other end, we have Andre Campbell. Andre is a financial advisor, AKA one of the money men, works with Northwestern Mutual, and he helps clients free them from financial anxiety, and who doesn't want that? Andre's philosophy is to look at life's whole picture, to consider vulnerabilities along with aspirations, to develop a plan and provide ongoing guidance, ultimately providing his clients with the opportunity to live the life that they want. Last but not least, we have Kofi Odom. Kofi is the founder and managing principal of CFOtask.com, Inc., which was previously known as Odom and Associates, LLC. His business knowledge includes fund management, capital campaigns, and mergers and acquisitions. Kofi's experience has propelled him to the forefront of financial services in Pennsylvania and beyond the immediate region. So like I said, this is an amazing panel here before you this evening, and let's have them all talk a little bit about why they're here tonight and why this panel was important to them. We'll start with John and go on down the line.
Thank you, Ade. So John Campbell, Director of Multicultural and Diverse-Owned Business Enterprises at Wilmington Trust. Wilmington Trust is the wealth advisory division for M&T Bank. So for 30 years, I've had the opportunity to work with individuals on wealth planning, wealth management, wealth protection, wealth transfer. I work with a lot of business owners. I've done that my whole career. And it is rewarding and thrilling to work with business owners at every step along that journey, from the creation of wealth, which is what a lot of you are doing now, right? You're creating value, you're creating profitability. That's just the first phase. I get the pleasure of going to and fro in our footprint. I've been in Atlanta, Boston, Buffalo, having conversations with business owners just like yourself. And the conversation's always been, look, you're doing a lot of hard work. Let's figure out how to protect and grow, and at the end of the day, improve your financial circumstances, right? Have the business be successful, and then, of course, at the end of the day, put you in a better position, right, to provide for a better financial situation for yourself. So that's what I do. I enjoy thoroughly. I enjoy working with the business owners on developing the strategy, right, that works and works for them as they look to create value and create financial prosperity, not only in the business, but also for their families. And then, of course, the whole legacy part of it, right? Generational wealth, helping them think about how to put some things in place to make sure that the hard work that they have done and the value they've created gets transferred to the next generation, so that it's sustainable not only through their lifetimes, but for their kids' lifetimes as well. So that's what I do. I enjoy it thoroughly. And again, I just applaud all of you for stepping out there, right, and creating value for yourselves and for our community.
Anthony Cox, and I do, with Eckert Siemens, I do commercial litigation, so I'm mostly representing businesses when things do arise, also helping them draft contract agreements and things like that. And I'm here really because I really enjoy helping business owners, especially people who are looking to start up. So I'm really looking forward to hoping you all learn something and getting to know you all better.
My name is Ben Ward. I'm an associate at McNeese Wallace & Nurk, a colleague of Ade's, not nearly as decorated as Ade. He undersold or oversold the panel after he's the moderator. But anyway, so as he mentioned, I am primarily focused my practice on mergers and acquisitions. Particularly within mergers and acquisitions, I help seller founders complete the biggest life event they've probably had at that point, which is selling the business they've worked for since you all are. So I come from the perspective of I see how it goes towards the end. And so if you think about all those times, towards the end of something, it doesn't have to be anything related to your business where you've said, I wish I had done that. I think John had mentioned this earlier when we were sitting out there talking. I can provide you that perspective, and I hope I can provide you that perspective tonight, that we can avoid some of the pitfalls that could occur later on by addressing it now.
Kofi Odum, founder of CFOtasks.com Inc. And I'll just start out by saying cash is king. Yeah, cash is king. I enjoy working with small to medium-sized businesses. Start out by putting in place a right accounting system. So I'll just be talking about just mostly bookkeeping and accounting because I've run into situations that's a hair-pulling mess. You know, if I had hair, I'll probably be bald by now, right? So I'll be talking a little bit about that. Sometimes I'll be giving examples mostly, you know, and I'm really passionate about this. It sometimes makes me cry, honestly, when someone says, oh, I can't believe I would have paid $20,000 more in taxes because when I put the money into my bank account, someone accidentally put it as income for the business when it should have been put somewhere else. That was an investment into the business. So if you don't catch those little things in the way you do your bookkeeping, that could really get you into trouble. Sometimes some people see a ton of money coming in. It's cash, all right, but that doesn't mean that cash belongs to you. I've come across business owners who are like, oh, Kofi, last year I made $300,000. But I owe $50,000 and I took a trip to Aruba because I thought I'd made money. No, cash is king. When you have the right structure in place, you know exactly what is coming in and what is going out. Then you can basically figure out how much you have to spend, how much you can pay yourself. And the banks will love you for that. Because, you know, there might come a time where you might need, let's say, a line of credit for what you do. You know, you go to the bank with your financial statements because you've been keeping rigorous records. The bank or loan officer looks at your paperwork and says, great job, you've been approved for $75,000. And yes, one of our clients actually came to me and our firm. We helped them organize their financial. They took it to the bank and boom, it says you're approved for $75,000 line of credit. Unbelievable, right? So as we go on, I'll be answering questions along those lines just to help, people like you, figure out how best to, keep track, keep record of transactions so that you be a favorite at the bank, you be a favorite with your tax guy, and you also love yourself because you'd know what to spend and what not to spend.
So one of the first things I want to say is reiterating the rockstar crew we have. I'm actually John Campbell's biggest fan, and this is the first time I've ever met him. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'll take that. I've seen him in passing at the golf course a few times, but I've actually never got a chance to speak to him. Yeah, let's do it. So one of the funny stories is another wealth advisor that's a good friend of Ade's as well. This is John's story, he doesn't even know probably. I have a nice work bag. I'll keep the name to the side. He said, yo, the first time I ever seen that bag, John Campbell had it. And he said, I ran home and Googled it and was like, oh, I need to go back to work. So yes, we've definitely got a rock star crew here. And again, just kind of reiterating other people, Ade, you heard so many great things about what he's done, and he didn't even mention his LEAP program. His firm gives out, $30,000 to $50,000 in free legal services to business owners that qualify?
Every year.
Every year? And I've partnered with them to help their clients with financial services and encourage them to get it done because their biggest issue is that the clients aren't spending all the money. It's not something they're doing just to check a box and say, look at me, like we care. Like they're upset that their clients didn't spend $500,000 of free money last year. So just reiterating what everyone said, like this is a great panel here. The work I do is in wealth management. We work with business owners, families, athletes, and entertainers. And I tell them, you make the money, I'll take it from you. But then I'll help you make more. You got to work for money and then allow the money to start to work for you, or you end up working forever. And the work we do, it's so cool and so fun. Like, I get to hear some of the coolest people's stories all day. And then the biggest compliment in the world you can give me is like, you want to give me your life savings? Like, that's a big compliment. You've worked hard for this. And at the end,
All right. Check one, check two.
testing, testing.
Testing, testing.
Oh, so they had us do a Zoom call to like confirm we really wanted to show up and be a part of this, and I was like, this is a no-brainer. Like, this is what I'm here for. So I'm really easy to find. If you take advantage of my time, I'll give you as much as I got. So outside of the networking we do today, if there's any way I can help anybody, I promise I'll give you as much as I can.
All right. Thank you for the introductions. Now let's see what this panel actually knows. So, all right, look, there's one question that's ubiquitous for any business owner. It's you want to form a business, you have your concept, you have your plan. What kind of business are you going to form? Are you going to do a sole proprietorship, an LLC, an S corp, a partnership? Tell us a little bit about how a business owner should approach that question, and I want to hear both from the legal minds and the accounting minds on this question.
So I think the first consideration you need to ask yourself is who are you in business with and what do you want to do? So, right, if there are going to be two owners of your business, the sole proprietorship, obviously, it can't work because there's two of you. But if you look at the different tax ramifications and liability standpoints, you'll find yourselves next with the corporation or the LLC. And what you're really looking for at that point is because in Pennsylvania, corporations and LLCs, they're going to provide the same level of liability protection for you. So effectively what happens is, say you're running your business and an employee of yours driving a truck selling cookies to Philadelphia, and he hits a famous person and they try to sue you for everything you're worth. And they're gonna sue the company, and they're gonna sue the individual owners, they're gonna, whatever they can get their hands on, they'll try to sue you for. And so what entities do is they kind of insulate you. They're call it a cloud, basically, that you hover over, where they sue the company but can't sue you personally. So there's not really a difference from a corporation or a limited liability company from that standpoint. For those who are by themselves, if you're a sole proprietor, there's no actual entity that's formed. What you do is you register a name and you do business, as that name, but you're filing taxes each year as yourself. There's no actual separate entity created. And so in a sole proprietorship, you're actually, availing yourselves to potential personal liability where they could possibly go after your personal assets. And then I think we'll get into this a little bit more later on in the panel, but then within entities themselves, you can be classified as a partnership, you can be classified as an S corporation, a C corporation, and with that comes different tax structures. But I think for now, that's the general basis of what you're trying to do for liability protection by forming an entity.
Yeah, and I agree. I think Ben covered most of it, but I say you start with what's your ultimate goal. What kind of business are you going to be doing? Are you going to be in one area, or are you going to be going to multiple areas? As Ben said, if you're a corporation or an LLC, you have, you're individually protected. So if you know you're going to be doing a lot of business outside of the area, the opportunity for exposure is higher. So kind of trying to understand what are the risks of your business, what are you going to be doing, is kind of what I would say you should start kind of working backwards.
Yeah, and I think, as you start a business, certainly the passion that you have, right, that's what drives you to succeed and spend, 24/7 to get to be successful. But one of the things newer business owners think about is, and it has to do with creating wealth, right? Is this business going to really there to support my lifestyle, my current lifestyle primarily, right? Or is this a business that is more of an investment, right? So meaning that as you create value, create profitability, you're going to pour more and more of that into the business. Because from a wealth perspective, at the end of the day, right, if it's an investment business, you got to, there's an opportunity to sell the business and create value and have a profit that you can help to secure your financial future. So, what I would say is, yeah, the passion, the drive is important. But again, think about, start a business with the end in mind, right? What does it look like for me and my family situation from a wealth perspective at the end of the day? Because eventually, it's not a matter of if a transition happens. It's going to happen, and it's a matter of how well you prepare for that. So think about whether or not, the business will primarily support your lifestyle or is more of an investment that you will sell at a later point as a profit.
Like I said, cash is king. So as you're forming entities, and he would talk, he would shed a little bit more light as we go on. So you start out with one entity doesn't mean that's the same entity you're going to grow with. They usually come, partner with you as a strategic advisor. If you have a tax advisor, you can always touch base with your tax advisor and say, hey, is there any way for me to keep more of what I'm making? And that's where their expertise also comes in. They might say, well, this entity might not save you a lot in taxes, but maybe this entity might. So it's always trying to figure out how to keep most of what you earn. And from my perspective, it's always trying to avoid taxes, but not evade taxes. Difference there. Clarify. Yeah, so.
All right, so what I'd say is if you get nothing out of today, take everyone's email and stop Googling stuff. So I Googled a lot of the questions before I got here to see, what are you guys seeing if you look this stuff up? And some of the stuff you see is just so vaguely broad and wrong. They give you all the fun, wow stuff without adding in the real details. So yes, an S-Corp can save you money in taxes because you don't have to pay payroll taxes or FICA. Yeah, but you're probably going to pick up like a $2,000 tax preparation fee on the other side of it. You know what I mean? Like there's cost to then setting all this stuff up correctly. So I mean, I think from a strategic standpoint of how to use an S-Corp or LLC, they answered most of the questions. But what I would add to all of that is stop Googling stuff. Find a trusted professional, use an email address, and get a question that's very specific to yourself. Because if you're in an S-Corp and you're still in the losing phases of the business, well, you just missed out on tax deductions. You can't take passive income against active income, so your zero is just a zero. Where if you lose money with a sole proprietorship or LLC and you have active income on the side, well, now your net taxable income just came down and your tax liability dropped. So these are the details you're not going to see when you do a quick Google search. So just ask somebody.
That's a great segue to my next question, which is, you're starting a business and you're looking around at these guys, you think to yourself, look, I've got LegalZoom, I've got Google, I've got ChatGPT. Why am I paying all these guys in suits? I've got it all right here. So for the panel, if you're a business owner, what are the pros and cons of utilizing those tools in the early phases of a business?
So there are attorneys up here that are going to get more upset about LegalZoom than I am. But like, someone told me one day, like, I started a business. I got my LLC, I got my EIN, everything. I'm like, oh, that's cool. How much did it cost you? $850. What? Yeah, I use LegalZoom, and sidebar, because LegalZoom pays Google the most, if you search LLC, which I did do, it's the first thing that pops up. So you just click it, and then there are like other websites that mimic the IRS by putting their logo on their website. So you think you're on an IRS website, and now you're just doing something completely wrong. So again, like, lean on the resources and people you have if it's something you've not done before. I'm not a fan of LegalZoom. They might be a little bit more expensive than LegalZoom, but at least you know you're going to get it done the right way the first time. So that's my opinion.
You have a question over here?
I do. I have a question, because I recognize LegalZoom and all those other places, they kind of mimic the same information. And it's, but my question is, so that we as small business owners are prepared to come to see you and have some reference points, is there or are there any recommended reading that you can provide to us?
So I can take it when you guys want to take it? All right, so what I'll say is that there's so many different subjects to cover that there's no sort of one single recommendation that I have for the general question of, how to incorporate, or, what should the business owner do in sort of founding their business or growing their business. But what I can do is, we all have cards, we all have contact information. Approach us after the session. Let's keep in touch. And, as organic questions come up, we can make recommendations based on the specific situation that you're trying to solve at the time. So I think that's a good way to think about it is, what resources can you guys provide for me that I could benefit from? But I think the real answer is going to depend on what the specific situation that you're dealing with is, not just a general question. So the answer is really just keep in touch and let's do it organically.
So as a lawyer, my thoughts on LegalZoom for single-member LLCs that are just starting up is probably not as harsh as you would expect, because at the end of the day, like a single-member LLC that's taxed as a disregarded entity, your operating agreement, $850 is honestly probably what it would cost you to go to McNeese and do. So if you want to get a little bit better of service and you're thinking of using LegalZoom, it probably wouldn't cost you that much more to just see a lawyer. But where LegalZoom and some of these other third-party sites suffer is as soon as you get into any sort of complicated issue at all, right? So think of the scenario where you and your business partner are forming an entity. You're going to create an LLC that's taxed as a partnership. You've reviewed it with your CPA. They say this is the way to do it, and then 6 months later, one of the partners gets a new job, and it's with a competitor. And you look at your operating agreement, and there's nothing in there that says they can't go start a competing business with you. And in Pennsylvania, when you're the owner of an LLC, you actually do not owe any fiduciary duties to the company as a member. You would as an officer or a board member, but not as an owner. And so where you run into issues then is, okay, so now how we've spent years building this business, and he just took all of our goodwill and started a competitor, and now I don't have any recourse. And so LegalZoom won't get you those types of specific, and that's just one issue. I mean, you can spend thousands and thousands of dollars and pages of documents to try to put together the most perfect operating agreement. But at the end of the day, that's something that LegalZoom can't do for you. ChatGPT, I'm not sure. I mean, that I like it very well could, and that scares me. But for now, we're gonna pretend like it's not good. I think it did better than some of us did.
I'll kind of piggyback on what was already said. If you find yourself if you use LegalZoom or one of those places and you find yourself that you get into an issue down the road where you need representation litigation, they won't be able to represent you. And it makes our job a lot easier if we were the ones that helped you with your formation or drafting your agreements or what have you, if something does come up. So I think my biggest reason to stray away from them would be that. And to the question about being prepared, I would say you don't have to come prepared. I mean, I think that's part of our job, is to help you figure out what you need and help educate you and be kind of your advocate. So don't feel like you have to come and be an expert on, business formation or contract negotiation or contract drafting.
I want to piggyback on that, just to throw a little comment on that particular note. One of the strongest attributes you can have in any business is to throw your pride out. And if you don't know something, you don't know it, and find the person that knows. That's how you avoid mistakes, and that's how you grow. Too many people are too proud to say to someone, hey, I don't know. Like, where can I find this answer? Who has this information? You got to get over that sort of reticence to it, to sort of acknowledge what you don't know and find the people on your team, consultants, friends, contacts that do know, and spend time with those people.
Yeah, no, that question wasn't to compare with it was just having a reference point. Because, like, you use the term fiduciary responsibility. In offering it, I do have a background in banking, and so I understand what the term fiduciary responsibility is. But most small business people, a lot of small business people may not understand what those terms are. And I know as a consumer, whenever I go to buy a washer or a dryer, I want to know a little bit of something so that I can ask the right questions. Not necessarily coming in to test or quiz, because you are the expert, and that's what I'm coming in to pay you for, to provide me and guide me. But I want to be able to ask the right questions, like when you go to your physician. Let me know, I want to ask the right questions, rather than being taught to act.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the hardest things for you as a business owner and for us as individuals, right, is to figure out who to trust and who not to trust. And that just doesn't happen automatically. You got to do your homework, whether it's an attorney, an accountant, a wealth advisor, right? Do your homework, do the background, as you're saying, research, find out what's available to you. It's hard for me to say that an in-person relationship with an advisor is better than somebody over the phone. I can't say that. But what I can say is make sure you have references, you know something about them, do your homework, and work at it. Because you have to believe in your heart as business owners, right? Whoever's going to be working for you, right? Whoever you're going to give your money to, right? Or your legal work to. Make sure that you feel in your heart that they have your best interest at heart, right? That's the fiduciary responsibility. You won't be perfect all the time, right? You can make mistakes, but make sure there's due diligence involved and, that, yeah, this person's got my back, right? They're looking out for me. I can trust them. And if they do you wrong, then you got to make a decision, right? Do I stay with them or not stay with them? But make sure that they have the credentials, that they're professional, and what they are offering you, that's the business that they're in, right? And they're expert in what they're doing.
Make it quick.
I promise. So, I just want everyone to know, this is not our commercial. We are not looking at this room and saying, hey, we got a whole bunch of client opportunities, you got to work with us. But, assuming the best, you guys could easily make $1,000, $10,000 an hour in the business that you choose to dedicate your time and energy to. Trying to learn on the side what we do as well is taking away from the moneymaker. And I love how you said when you go to the doctor, I've never asked my doctor questions. They ask me questions. And when you work with us, I'd assume most of us don't come in and just start talking at you. we ask questions because we know how to guide information and conversations with people that have no idea what they're talking about. So.
Was there a question here?
Hi, everybody. My name is Medina. Thanks, you guys, for coming here. My question is as a small business owner, when you register your business, and you want to work with the government or work with bigger entities, and you have a plan and strategy and everything, and let's say the first 2 years you didn't get a lawyer yet, but you're still working on the strategies process, which direction do you go with your LLC or sole proprietor or that when you're about to make a big, get in a big league with the contracts with government? Just a question.
So I'm not sure there's necessarily a difference, right? Whether it's you're opening or starting a business that's going to contract with the government or open a restaurant. At the end of the day, I will always recommend to clients that they form an entity. Even in the early stages before it's operational, right? Right away, I would always recommend to have that entity formed and have financial models mapped out with an accountant to figure out from the tax perspective what the best way is for you to operate. But from a liability standpoint, particularly in contracts, right? A lot of, and he might be able to touch on this more than I can, but we try to structure contracts so that he doesn't have to get involved, and so. But that doesn't always happen, and so a breach of contract claim, if you're operating, even if it happens before a project takes off or before you're actually operating, and so you start off, you're like, I'm just going to sign everything in my own personal name. That's where this concept of personal liability starts to trickle in, and so from a legal standpoint, sooner rather than later for me is always the guidance.
Do you have anything else? It's actually a great segue to my next question because it's very similar, but more for the financial team. So I heard that last week in one of your sessions, there was a question about when to engage a CPA as you grow your business. So let's start with Kofi on this one. What would you recommend for a business owner in terms of recommendations and advice for how should they know when it's time to engage a CPA?
Today. Don't leave this room. And I've seen messes created because you're using your personal credit card to pay for business expenses. If you haven't done so, you need 3 people actually in your corner: a banker, a lawyer, and your CPA, and definitely a financial planner. Those are the 4 people you need to guide you through the whole process. But don't start a business without talking to an accountant. Very important, don't do that. You have your business plan, you have your map, you basically have your marketing plan, you have your business plan, you have everything all mapped out. Don't screw it up. Because when you start doing something, halfway down the road, you try to unwind things, the bill starts going higher and higher, and most people avoid the CPA because they're like, oh my gosh, how much is it going to cost me to do this and to do that? Then he's like, oh, it's probably going to be about $3,500, $5,000, $10,000. Oh, why? Well, it's a mess. I have to go figure things out. I see a salon expense. Was it for your hair? What was it for? Dog grooming. What was that? Oh, it was my personal credit card. I used some of it for business and some of it for my personal. Oh my gosh. Now I have to go figure out what was business and what was personal. Today, if you haven't found one, reach out to any of the panel. You don't have to work with us, but we do know people you can work with. And it's like marriage. You can argue with a person, but after arguing, you still want to come back and do business, okay? So this might not be a good fit, but based on the personality type, we might say, you know what? I know someone who can work really well with yours because you're probably a type A personality. I'm not. And we'll refer you to that person. That's why we're here, to make sure that you guys succeed.
Anybody else want to touch on that one? Good? All right. So, somewhat similar question. Kofi, I'll start with you again on this one. Accounting software. A lot of options out there. if you're a small business owner, you're doing your accounting, you've retained an accountant, but you also want to keep tabs, somewhat on your own as well. What would you recommend from a software perspective? Is there a difference? Is there a market leader, or are all the programs pretty much the same?
Well, everybody knows QuickBooks, so that's kind of right off the bat. I always tell business owners, like my colleague was saying, your time is worth a lot of money. OPT, I call it, other people's time. QuickBooks is the most popular of all. Then we have Xero, we have the whole alphabet soup out there. Don't go too crazy on the accounting system. When the IRS comes auditing, they don't care what accounting system you're using. They just want to make sure you're keeping track of your expenses. You accidentally say you used something for a business expense and you didn't, they'll just tell you to pay taxes on it and a penalty for not reporting it as income. I prefer QuickBooks because they're kind of on the cutting edge of, AI. It's on your phone. If you basically, as soon as you get a receipt from the restaurant, open the app, take a snapshot, it goes right into the software. If you have somebody helping out with the accounting system, they basically know exactly what the receipt was for because all the details are there. So I prefer accounting systems, or I call it AIS, accounting information systems, something that's very easy to use and simple. So you don't get bogged down in accounting because you didn't start a business to be an accountant, unless there are accountants here, right? You started a business to provide a service or sell a product. Focus on that. Find an accounting information system that maximizes your time to maximize profit.
So one area I want to touch on is that there's a lot of news and a lot of discussion about certifications for minority women business or diverse business enterprise certifications. There are a lot of them out there. They can get a little bit confusing, but if you're a business owner, you're starting a business, you may think, what's the point? I have a website, you can see who I am. Why should I pay for a certification just to tell people what they should already know or tell people who I am? I'm selling my business, not myself. So panel, what are the benefits of certification, either whether it's women-owned, black-owned, LGBTQ+, whatever the certification may be?
Yeah, I actually just left a minority business owned certification seminar before I got here. John Bowser of Steelworks and Leland Nelson of Dirty Dog Hauling had just hosted a seminar on it. I'll share their information. I think they could both explain it a lot better than I can, but what I got from it is I don't know if anyone's in a fraternity or sorority here, but it's a fraternity. You know what I mean? They're helping broker deals, they're helping market your services. And one of the things I found astounding about the entire presentation is they said they have one caterer or food vendor that's minority business certified, and she's all the way in Philadelphia. I was talking to you. So when people, so let me give you a good example of why they said you do it. So PP&L gets $100 million from the government. And they say to get this money, you can pay 1% in interest on it if 15% of that money is spent with minority business owners. But if you don't do that, well, now you owe us 8.5% on that money. And one of the best things they said is they're not working with you because they like you. They're working with you because it's a business decision. So as hard as it is to grow a business, if a little bit of certification kind of puts you in a pool that forces people to work with you, just get it done. The registration was like $300. Why not do it?
Look, as small business owners, you have to look at every opportunity to generate revenue. Some of the opportunities, sometimes you'll get a fair shot, and sometimes you won't. Our society, our government says, look, we will ensure that things are in place so that our minority-owned businesses gets a fair shot. It's your opportunity to generate revenue, and you got to jump on it. If it's a certification, the certification. I've spoken with a lot of business owners. There are a couple of African-American business owners here in Harrisburg where they made sure they got that certification. So guess what? When projects were being doled out, they got their cut of the project, right? And they leveraged all of those certifications to generate revenue, and their business grew. And what they did after that, they expanded into other areas and in other opportunities, that are that don't require certification, right? But the revenue that they generated and the profits gave them the opportunity to compete in other areas as well, because they had bandwidth, they had the capital to compete. So this is an opportunity to make sure that you get a shot to generate revenue.
Thank you. So another question is thinking about saving. When you're running a business, Kofi touched on this, cash is king. He said it again and again and again, and I love that statement, cash is king. It's ringing in my ears. So at what point do you think about savings and building generational wealth for the business and for yourself and your family? Panel, this question really gets to the point of when you're starting a business, you're being pulled in multiple different directions. So when do you say, okay, I'm not in growth mode anymore, now I'm going to invest, I'm going to invest in me, I'm going to look to the future, versus just when you're just trying to sort of get people hired, buy supplies, get inventory. How do you transition into that phase where you're thinking further ahead in terms of generational wealth and growth versus just trying to make a buck the next month?
So I'll start and I'll pass it on. So you're in business to make money. You're in business to generate a profit. You're in business to improve your financial situation. Ultimately, when you start with the business, it ultimately comes back to your personal wealth and your personal situation. When is it a good time to think about saving and growing? Immediately, right? Now, it's going to be difficult for business owners because a lot of your capital is going to be spent, investing in the business and all those. But I would implore you, as soon as you can, right, put a little bit aside as an investment outside of the business, the better, right? It's important because you have to look at opportunities to take advantage of the compounding effect of investing or savings. Those dollars earn dollars, and those earnings earn more dollars, right? Take a look at and think about all of the tax-advantaged accounts that are out there. The government provides them for us, right? The government says, all right, the federal government says, you don't have to pay me my taxes now, put it in a tax-deferred account. But while it's there, it earns money for you. You got to take advantage of tax-deferred accounts. And so the decision that you make today in terms of savings or not saving, right, as best you can, will ultimately affect your ability to grow wealth later on because of that compounding effect. So I would say, take a look as hard as you can. My mom always said, John, you can save something. Put a little, if it's $1 or $2, put it away and don't touch it, right? Understand your cash flow from your business to your personal wealth, right? Make sure you have that straight. Is the tail wagging the dog or the dog wagging the tail? You got to make sure you understand the cash flow, and that at the end of the day, and we were talking about it out there, right? Important to understand, are you in the red or are you in the black? Make sure you understand it, and it's to Kofi's point in terms of having a sound financial system to understand your position. But no, our society, our government, the investment world gives us every opportunity to increase wealth, but we've got to set it aside and understand where our time horizon is, right? If you're going to pull it in and out, it doesn't make any sense, right? Make sure that those dollars can be set aside. But start now, start early, even if it's a little bit, right? The compounding effect of investing is powerful.
So it's funny that I've went this long without saying it. I hate the word small business. The legal definition of a small business is up to $40 million in net revenue and 1,000 employees. There's nothing small about that. So what we call businesses of that size are closely held businesses. And if the business is closely held by a business owner, there are probably a lot of people that you're depending on and a lot of people that you're putting at risk. So what I tell any business owner is like the risk management side of financial planning, you got to get that done today. Now, I have a lot of respect for business owners. They're one of few people I tell your money might be better with you than me. You can get a rate of return on your money that I can't. You can get a rate of return on your money that I'm not even trying to get. So if it takes you some time to start saving, that's understood, but it can't be forever. I know multimillionaire business owners that are slaves to their job because they never started saving. And now their lifestyle's dependent on this type of income. It's too late to allow compound interest to start working for them. So now they're on a hamster wheel. And I'm talking about they make real money. So if I answer the question in stages, you do the risk management stuff immediately, you do the wealth management stuff when you can, but it's not a never because you just end up stuck in the business.
So that's another good segue to the next question I had, which is we haven't talked about insurance too much during this panel yet. So let's talk about business hazard insurance, key man insurance. What do those terms mean, and how should our audience be thinking about those terms?
Yeah, I'll run through key man real quick. Most closely held business owners, you are the key person. If you pass away, there is no business. Now, if you grow to the point where you've got a lead person that runs and operates the business and you feel like, hey, if this person is no longer with me, I'm going to be stuck either overpaying for talent or trying to figure out and piece this together, that's when you get a key person policy. We like to always say, if your business is dependent on people instead of processes, you're one death away from losing your business. So if you feel like that about anybody in the business, get a key person coverage on them.
Yeah, and I'll add, one of the big importances of it is if you do find yourself where you're in some litigation or you need that, if you have good insurance policies, a lot of times you will be covered, your fees will be covered a lot of times. So, when you should be looking for some type of policy and make sure they have protection for you if you do end up in a legal issue. Or there are a lot of good policies that will either provide you direct coverage or provide you reimbursement coverage. So there's a benefit there, and making sure it's just like if you get into a car accident, you call you don't go out of pocket and go get your car fixed. You immediately call your insurance company. So think about that the same way in terms of protecting your business and its assets.
And the only other thing I'd add is, look, when you think about key man insurance, you got to say, all right, who in this company will, if something happens to them today, how will that affect my revenue, right? If it's going to disrupt the business, whether they're in operations or they're in sales, right? How disruptive will this be to my business and my revenue stream? If it's a significant hit that you'll take, then you got to figure something out how to because you're right, you're one death away from the business going under if that revenue stream stops. It gives you, for the complicated estates, when it comes to trying to sell your business and somebody's looking at whether or not to buy your business, they're going to go right to that revenue stream. They're going to say, how protected is that revenue stream, right? And if with the appropriate insurance in there, they'll be more assured that, anything happens to the key revenue generator, the revenue will still flow. I mean, valuation of business often is dependent upon the consistency of that revenue stream once the deal is done, once the transaction is done. If it's going to go away, why am I buying a business? Right? I'm not going to buy it. So again, those are some of the things that to think about as far as key man insurance.
This is a lot of wisdom here, and we're going to get to questions in a second. This is a whole lot of wisdom. I want to key in on something Andre said about processes versus people. It can take a weekend, a couple of days to knock out a good process for a component of your business, but if you don't sit down and hammer out the process side, in 3 years, it's going to take you another 3 years to unwind the damage done by the process you didn't take a couple of days to put in place 3 years ago. Process is everything when it comes to any kind of business. I have a couple of questions that I could ask, but I know that we're winding down the time before the break and networking session. So I do want to allow some time for audience questions. So I know I saw one over here. We'll go over there, then we'll probably have time for maybe another 2 or 3 quick audience questions.
This question is actually, it is for when we talk about the formation and we do partnerships and protections, risk management. What happens, are there any alternatives to if one of the partners is not able to be covered by a key man policy? How do you mitigate that risk?
So from a company standpoint, there's a concept called indemnity. Are you familiar with indemnification generally? So for those, it's not a perfect comparison, but for those who might not know, be familiar with the term indemnification, it basically means reimbursement. And so one way, if insurance is not an option for whatever reason, you can, if an issue happens, you can have indemnification provisions in your operating agreement where the company actually indemnifies them for the losses that were suffered. Now, the downside of that is it comes out of the company. And so obviously insurance, in this, my scenario is more so if somebody gets sued personally. So it's not the death scenario. It's, hey, I'm really nervous. Like, what if somebody comes after me? I haven't been, I might have overstepped the boundary, right? You can cover your personal self through indemnification in an operating agreement, but that's not the that's kind of a last resort if insurance isn't an option.
I heard you guys say that you're going to give us your emails and we can make contact with you, but which one of you actually offers sponsorships or mentorships to up-and-coming businesses? So it'll be held on a more personal level.
All right, so I'm asking for permission to be brutally honest. It is probably way easier to get my time with a phone call or an email. Like, the mentorship, a lot of it is, I hate to say this, wasted, like bonding and building a relationship. So you think then I'll start to help you. You're a person of color, I want to help you. So if we can skip all of that and just get to what you need, like, that's the way I can personally be the most effective. I've got 2 kids and 2 businesses. Mentorships are really hard for me. And then I often leave out myself. But if you learn how to golf, for some reason, I find 5 hours every week to do that. So if you learn how to golf, you actually get like 5 hours to talk to me about whatever the hell you want. I'm just saying.
Now, look, I mean, so here we are, yeah, we're talking with you on this panel. We're a resource, right? You will have our information. And the relationship has been established here, right? It can go to a mentorship, it can go to, but the initial, point is, let's have a conversation, let's get to know you, you get to know me, and get to know our businesses, our companies, and how we can add value. And if we can't help you, we know folks that we can refer you to, but so your network has started here, right? Not only amongst each other, but with us as well. I have a passion for seeing small business owners succeed and to become profitable and be successful. It's hard work, and you put everything on the line, right? I kind of chickened out and I got a corporate job, right? I mean, you guys, you don't make money, you don't eat. So no, you have a resource here, all of us. We're happy to, give you our information, call. And however the relationship goes from there, it goes, right? And maybe that mentorship will come out of it. But, we are a part of the community, and we're only as good as our community. We'll only be as successful as you're successful. So we will certainly connect with you, reach out, and be a resource.
And I'll supplement the panel on this one. I'm very passionate about networking, and I believe that networking is a area where you get what you give. Networking isn't about going out to fancy restaurants and eating steak dinners. It can be that stuff, that stuff's cool. Nothing wrong with any of that stuff. But networking can be as simple, hey, I want to go get a coffee with you. Would you meet me for coffee, on Tuesday morning? Simple. But that 20-minute session can be illuminating on so many levels. So when you want time with somebody, you want quality time with somebody that you think can help you, say so, offer them, invite them somewhere, make it happen in that sense. Don't think that you have to invite them to the fancy restaurant down the street, or, if you know how to golf, that's great, like Andre said, but I don't know how to golf. I've never golfed in my life. So just find a comfort zone and say, hey, could we do this on Tuesday morning? Could we get together after work and talk about whatever it is that's on your mind? Just reach out. Someone says no, they say no. For every no, you're going to get 5 yeses. So just put yourself out there, meet people, share experiences, and you'll learn a lot. I mean, that's part of the joy of being a business owner, being a business person, is meeting people and sharing experiences. It's kind of what makes it all run. So I'm kind of like Andre. I'm not very high on formal mentorship programs. I think there's a lot of stilted, forced conversation. But if you really want to sort of get someone to assist you with your business, then you should be courageous enough to get out there and meet people and sort of, have interactions and make yourself known. I think that's the best way to forge relationships and get the advice and feedback that's going to help you grow your business. So I want to thank our panel for their comments. I learned a lot during this panel, so I hope the rest of you did. There were some amazing insights shared, and the evening only gets better from here, and we're going to have a networking session, so you'll get to talk with all of us on a little more of an informal basis. So I think, Gail, I'll turn it over to you to transition us out.
Yes. A round of applause. Thank you all. Oh my gosh. I was back there writing like a crazy person. Just a couple housekeeping items. We do have dinner. It's out there ready for everyone. As I indicated, these gentlemen will have, I think you have all decided, maybe, I don't know, but I hope you are, staying around for the rest of the evening, so grab something. We're gonna use the outside space. Well, wherever you guys feel comfortable kind of setting up, please get something to eat and, sit around community table and let's ask some questions that might be a little specific to your situations. But I think that the information that they provided was wonderful, and I want our group to say our class slogan. What is it? Your network is your net worth, right? So that's our class slogan this year. So I feel like we should do it every week. And if Natalie's watching, I want to say hi, because that was her slogan from the beginning, and it's great. So how about we go ahead and dismiss? Give yourself like 10 minutes to get your stuff. We'll get you guys situated. Maybe we'll let you guys go through first so that you can get yourself situated. But come on back in wherever you guys want to be seated. Pick somebody you want to have a conversation with, and let's just have a great rest of the class. We'll do this until about 10 till 8. Thank you. Also, if you have not signed in, please sign in. Because we don't know you're here if your name isn't on that list. Hi. Hello.
Thank you for coming.
Oh, great.
I think
just, what I'm looking at competitor-wise, comparison-wise in the area.
Like a market analysis.
Yes, yes, and I know she said somewhere specifically that she would look at, but I
Let me
thought
get your
she
name.
said, sure, sure.
So something that happened, the problem that you might have something that's already happened, or the suit would be like, unless you got here as a person, this is all happened. Because theoretically, so it's hard, if you withdraw, right, your information might be something that you need to have. I would say there would be three-party problem on the side of the other business. Yeah. Whoever it might be the other business partner again,
But with the whole zero payout thing, I know you can't say everything. Is me sending that letter and like having me sending that letter, is that enough to get by? Because I don't think that we're gonna have a full conversation.
So a letter to the company itself. Like if you go on the website, you send a letter. If you go on the state website, so if you can go on Google and see So to register, like just to register as that, register. Is it because it's like health related?
Well, no, I'm in Microsoft.
have some sort of user principle. It doesn't necessarily mean it's always the friendliest for the business, but it produces in certain cases. So a lot of people are going down for that. In terms of having to create multiple entities, I haven't seen that. I haven't that is one where that's what they mean. What's happening now is that rules or state basically following Delaware 30 years ago, yeah, Delaware was like, we have a rule for everything, it's very easy, you go to our statutes, now Pennsylvania has adopted the code, Pennsylvania's uniform liability, limited liability, it's like word for word the same thing. And Texas is the same. Like they all have adopted very similar. So long as you follow the manufacturer LLCs cover you to an extent. There are certain cases where I know it's not as big as any liability. It can, but if you can't be to an extent, but if you don't treat it like a separate entity, so like literally entities under United States law, definitely is a person, right? So it's basically given all the same rights as the person. Decide as to whether they should or not. And so if you are not treating yourself as an owner of this, you're not treating this entity like another person. You're taking business money for commingled funds, right? You're taking it out. No assets at all.
back to the
Look, I got
roles
I'm
first.
start writing it down right now. You tell me what I need to do. Are you looking for clientele?
I do take clients. I just talk to people.
Yeah, so like a part of my business.
I don't have my clients. I'm waiting for them. I'm waiting for them. You don't want to take the medication because of the side effects. Yeah. Do you feel like they gave you enough information? I'm pretty good at staying healthy and things like that. And I actually went to this certified and I made it happen. So none of the my stuff is out there learning about this. So, you know what I mean? You know, without, we can just trade. You don't even have to, it doesn't have to be everything. So I put everything, well, my husband said everything with. But I want people to do well and to know that, you know, that I care.
In the beginning, it was
So what is it? Is it just getting started or is it going to I guess.
November 8th.
Oh.
Well, last year. Hold on. No.
Okay. So you lost and you're trying to get more off? Or are you expecting to get more off? Is it supposed to still be in the process to get more off?
I want to work to get more off, you know, just changing the way I eat and everything. I can but I want to keep it all
And change your lifestyle.
yeah. Because now I got all this extra skin.
Alright, we talk. Most definitely. Help you out.
I'll group.
Personal stuff. I did some personal things where it's just doesn't really fit in my head. But I still further, you know, my education. I teach myself, you know what I mean? I get to learn different things the way I learn. Business card, but I got a business card right here, and I'm gonna have my business card within the next couple of months. All right. Cool, because I might be one of these to do a workshop. I seen this out of somebody's car. Is this one mine? Oh, okay. Good. That's awesome. Congratulations. That's awesome. I bet. I know how hard it is to open business and then have people show up and do things. And so was it really hard? Or are you in a good area?
Everybody there is not like that. So we have a great space, but a lot of our clientele comes from Dallas.
You're gonna make it. Don't worry about that. I y'all been in business for a year and that is dope. You know about the first year. That's awesome. That's great. You're darn right. I'll come start off. That's awesome. And I'm also, my name's Matt. I'm gonna call you. And we're trying to figure it out.
So it could be either a discount that you may give a client or just do a consultation. So we're gonna do like a dollar raffle, which allows somebody to win it.
All right. I'm down with that. I can do conversation. I can definitely do that. So we will definitely get together and exchange information and all those other things. It's great. I'm sure it will.
And we're gonna send you over an email.
What are your names?
Well, Felicia.
I don't do that either. I just need to start talking to people like I know it's not a big deal. But I'm like, it's not on here. I'm not good with names anyway. I have 7 children. They all get called dogs.
I'm Nadine.
Say Nadine.
We did have our names on there, but people never got it right, so.
Well, I'm glad.
Yes. So I'm Felicia.
Oh, that's why they didn't get it.
Yes.
They didn't get to see it.
And then she's Nadine.
All right. That's awesome, y'all. Congratulations. Yeah, I'm going to get my sister and I'm going to get together.
And it's not invitation only. Anybody that you know that might want to come.
What time is it?
It starts at 6.
Oh, I see it now. I was looking at it like 15 to 6.
Oh.
But it don't say that. All right. Yeah. Y'all got something good.
We always do these workshops, like March we did a women's brunch. There's free of charge. And then we sat everybody to network.
No, this is better networking than talking. Say what? No, I just want to get the money. It looks like everybody else and walked about it. Oh, the other people crowded around. This is my later thing here, but I'm going to ask him a question since I was trying to talk to him. But if I can remember the question, I would start talking.
Actually, I'm gonna send everybody a pack-in pretty soon.
A packet?
I'm sending you leaving, right?
All right.
Hello, hello. This is such great discussion, but I want to make sure that I keep you guys on track, and we've got the Harrisburg University who's been so kind keeping us here till 8 o'clock. You go sit down anywhere. Thank you, Ben. Did you get something to eat?
I have not.
Oh, go eat. There's plenty of food out there. So we're going to allow these conversations to just kind of fizzle down. But this is our first time having this particular session, and I got a little bit of feedback down here, but from, a show of hand, a round of applause, do we feel that this is a great session to have as part of our, yeah. I was taking a lot of notes back there, and I think that, first of all, I love the questions. I hope the sidebars were beneficial to you. And as it it's been said a million times, these resources are your resources. They're your local resources. Use them. Grab a cup of coffee, 5 hours on the golf course with Andre, if that's what you so desire. I told him I couldn't last because I only play for 3.5 hours, so I wouldn't be able to last 5 hours. But I think each one of these gentlemen who joined us this evening did a great job, and I would just like to offer another round of applause for them. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We are so blessed to have individuals in our community that care about all of us and all of our well-being. So please use them. If you are all okay, I would love to share your contact information with the group. I will put that out in the email that I send out and not on the day of the class. I'm so sorry. I know I sent that out late. I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. I will send it to you on Monday, and you'll have it for the next class. So please feel free to reach out to them. If you didn't sign in, I'm the gatekeeper. If you didn't sign in, I don't know you're here. So please, if you did not sign in, please make sure that you sign your name. Was dinner good? Did we like it? Awesome. Okay, good. Okay, so next week we will be talking about financial statements and personal credit. With us will be Michael Stevens. He works with M&T Bank. He's in our business banking department. So come prepared with lots of questions. He's got a great presentation. And then after his presentation, we are going to talk pitch, right? Everybody excited? Okay, so familiarize yourself. You all got the information. If you didn't get the information in the first night, I have some extras that I can give to you. All of the questions for the first round pitch are included in there. The scoring rubric is in there as well. So start studying. Put stuff down in your business plan. Get in front of a camera, because that's how it's going to be submitted. We will communicate that link to you. I think it's next week, because I think at the end of next week, those pitches are due. So I'll try to get that link for you and communicate that in this week's or next week's communication. And then the fun begins. So those will start next week at the end of the class. We've got a very good, Jay Jamoan was actually from CIE, was actually going to do that pitch, but there was a miscommunication of the dates that we were going to do that. So, but we have someone just as good. So I'll provide that information to you in the email as well. Okay, we're straight up at 8 o'clock. I love you all. Thank you so much for joining. Please, please, please see you next week. Bye.